I reckon we're probably live. And here we are again. It's Tuesday. Of course, recording in progress. Here it is, Tuesdays live with Jacqui Lewis. I'm the clinical nutritionist for BN Multi. And every week we meet here on the BN Multi page as an extension of the BN Multi group or the BN Bariatric group, where during the week, we run different competitions and we have different opportunities for you to ask your questions. And at the end of the week on a Tuesday, which isn't the end of the week, but each week on a Tuesday, we collate all your experiences in the group and we talk about them. And we often offer a topic of the week. So this week's topic is motivation and inspiration. And so we do a poll which asks your opinion on all of that. And last week we were chatting about, or we were polling about, what do you do to keep yourself motivated and inspired? So I'm going to run through the results of the poll. And I can't get my camera right tonight. I don't know what's wrong with it. And we are going to also go through, there's a new thing we're running in the group every Wednesday. It's called Hump Day Hints and Hacks. And it's an opportunity again for you guys to share your hints and hacks that have made your journey easier, or little things that you've found that help you get through the week and help you keep heading towards your success. So each week on Wednesday, that will be an opportunity for you to participate. And what that does is creates a community where people come to take shortcuts and connect with one another and understand that, you know, we're all in the same journey, and there are good ways of doing things that some people have found, and sharing those with others who are either starting the journey or who have are looking for more information. It's a great way of connecting. So I will share my screen so you can see the poll that we did. Share this one. So the question was, what do you do to keep yourself motivated? And I was pretty happy to hear that 62 out of the votes are getting their amazing stories and motivation from the BN Bariatric group. So good outcome. Or did we just have captive audience on that poll? I'm not sure. So 30 votes, I get my motivation from myself, which I'll talk about in a sec. 16 votes, I get motivation from my family and friends. 14 set multiple goals I can track to see progress. Sounds very structured. 13 votes, I follow weight loss surgery Instagram and Facebook accounts. 10 votes follow other weight loss surgery patients who have inspiring stories. 8 said they read a lot of blogs by dietitians, surgeons, and other weight loss surgery practitioners. 2 votes get my motivation from outside the weight loss surgery community. 2 other votes said, overall, I'm not that motivated, but I do what I have to do. That's honest, and we like that too. So I'm happy to see that 62 of you are getting some benefit from being a part of the group. So my job's done for the week. And kind of that's what the group's all about, is creating community and a safe place for people to come if they are feeling lost, or they're looking for new food ideas, or they've got questions on, you know, health and exercise and that sort of thing. So please keep that coming. I was going to say, looking at different forms of motivation, there are different I guess, explanations or examples of that. So there's intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation, and looking at people who get their motivation from intrinsic places, either from themselves, or they're motivated by things that are going to help them. They're not doing something just as a, you know, aesthetic kind of benefit, or to get a, you know, people saying, aren't you amazing, that sort of thing. That intrinsic motivation is generally the one that will get you through to the end game, because what can tend to happen in the first year after surgery is, of course, weight is dropping off quickly, and the extrinsic motivation, which is motivation you're gaining from your environment or from the things around you, outside of you. So family and friends talking about how healthy you're looking and how your body's changing and that sort of stuff. And they're giving you external feedback, which is, it's a great motivator. There's no doubt about it. and it has its place. But if you're relying on extrinsic motivation and, you know, a pat on the back or external feedback, you'll find that when that does start to drop away as your situation starts to normalize and people are not talking about it as much and they'll tend not to give you that feedback, that's when you might need to switch over to the intrinsic motivation and have a think about why you did the surgery and what your long-term goals are as far as your health and things that you'd like to achieve go, and use those as your drivers. And there's no doubt about it, extrinsic motivation is a wonderful thing. It's nice to hear that you're doing well, and it's great that others are noticing and all that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, I feel that that is where you'll get your long-term goals across the line, is when you know what they are firstly, and that you are intrinsically motivated to keep doing those things even when it feels like nobody's noticing or nobody's commenting, or you know, there's not that continual feedback from the environment. So it's just one thing to have a think about is I think along the way, as things change and we reach different milestones, they firstly need to be acknowledged because it's a big deal. But also it's then time to set the next goal. So looking at breaking your larger goals down into smaller pieces and striving for those, and looking for maybe a mix of intrinsic and extrinsic factors that will help you to stay motivated and get you across the line. I like this one, the set multiple goals I can track to see the progress. And I think that's a big one. And if you're lacking this extrinsic motivation, making sure you're tracking your own progress and taking photos and measuring, and not necessarily always weighing, but looking at your tangible understanding of yourself and how things are changing, not just the scale. So that way you're looking at different intrinsic motivators as well, because you're looking for the feedback that's coming from yourself. The 8 votes that said they read a lot of blogs by dietitians, surgeons, and other weight loss practitioners. I was interested to see where people are getting their either information and motivation from. I think everybody likes a story that's shared, like a common experience, which is why we'll look for groups where there's like-minded, you know, people are going through the same journey. Whereas looking for information that's coming from professionals and you know, based on the research and all that sort of stuff, it's a bit drier, but often it'll be those kind of that kind of reading and research that you do that really helps you to understand the process, as well as I think when you know the why and the how everything works and what the surgery is actually doing and what comes with it, that way you're more prepared for what needs to go into achieving those results as well. So if you're not, you know, excited about reading professionals' blogs because they are a bit drier, mix it up a little bit. See if you can find someone you can follow who's sharing really sound information on weight loss surgery and that sort of stuff as well. The others are, yeah, I think I've covered that one. The next part we did last week was the Hump Day helpful hints from last week. This was great, and that's why we'll do it each week, because there were some really good tips in here that people shared, and really helpful things that will, you know, of course, support one another. Tell us your most useful, successful hack you've employed on your weight loss surgery journey that helped you to kick a goal, overcome a hurdle, or just feel better when things were not feeling awesome. So here are the answers provided. Katrina said meal prep and having snacks in the fridge ready, boiled eggs and portion size bags of snacks ready to go. The biggest tip is don't compare yourself or your meal sizes to others, and look back at before pictures to see how far you've come. A picture tells 1,000 words. Bernie said portion size containers will help so much. On the BN multi-site, you'll find a range of different food storage ideas, and they're all geared to make it easy for you. Taking food with you pretty much everywhere you go is going to be a standard now. So it's important that you're prepared. And I think that's really the key, is making sure you've got the things on hand that make it easy to do. And if you're making it hard, or it's reactive kind of meal planning and that sort of thing, it can go pear-shaped. Bernie said that she's bought so many since my surgery. I do try to meal plan as well, and because we are tired, we can get a few meals out of one meal. If it's casserole style foods, which is good, and winter's good because we can do all sorts of slow cooked things and just portion them up and freeze them, and reheating those kind of foods is not as yucky as sometimes, you know, fresh kind of summer foods that you might get sick of, or they're not as you know, enticing when they're served up for the second or third time. So the winter is on our side, I think, with different like baking vegetables, doing slow cooked casseroles, making a big lasagna and portioning that up and freezing it. So I think when the weather changes, almost it makes it a bit easier too to have that food on hand, whereas summer is pretty much, you know, meat and salads and lighter foods that do need to be prepared more frequently. I'm trying hard not to waste food, which can be a problem post-surgery. And I'd love to hear your input on that, team. How do you deal with, you know, making such small meals, and what do you do to manage the wastage as well? What else have we got here? Avalee said finding a type of exercise you love is the key, because if you have to force yourself to do it, you'll always find an excuse not to work out. That's a great tip. I think we tend to etch in our minds that exercise equals going to the gym, and it's probably one of the most confronting things that even a very fit and, you know, life person finds it tricky sometimes, turning up in not much clothing and doing weird things in strange machines that most of us have got no idea how they work. So don't feel like it has to be that way, and look for different activities and move opportunities to move that you enjoy. And looking back, sometimes if you go over your childhood, the things that really made you happy as far as movement goes, maybe try revisiting those as well. Because sometimes that's why they were, you know, part of your childhood, is because they resonated with you and you chose again to do them. Adriana said, take body measurements and photos and don't always weigh yourself. Go by how your clothes feel on your body. Are they getting looser? And that's a key. I hear a lot of people talking about weight, and I'm even, you know, when you go back to your for your surgical follow-up and that sort of stuff, I'm sure they measure you, but they do talk about what you weigh quite a lot. And it is key to get us out of that mentality of, you know, I weigh this much, therefore I am this. So someone who's 70 kilograms and very lean and very muscular might, someone else might be 70 kilograms and be carrying quite a lot of body fat. So it just depends on your composition. And, you know, looking at what you're made of is a much better option than looking at what you weigh. And I think it's really hard to get us out of that mindset, but it just takes practice. And if you are compulsively weighing, it's a good thing to just put the scales away and find other things to do. And check in from time to time, but it's best not to run your life by what you weigh, because so many things change. Frances said she finally cuts packet stir-fry veggies with grated cheese, my go-to snack. In summer, I'll eat them raw, and now the cooler weather is in, I pop it in the microwave for 2 minutes and it's nice and hot. That's a good idea. Nick said, I try and only cut one, this is a good one. I try and cut only one piece of bad food out of my diet until I've overcome the need for it. I've found this way I'm not depriving myself overall, and I've been able to shake that food or thing over the longer term. And that's a key, because I think when we jump off the deep end and change 130 things, our brains can't manage that very well. And we're changing a lot, let's face it, as it is. So when you've got these things that you really, you know, are attached to, if there's 5 of them, pick them off one at a time, and they will get easier to conquer. But don't try and, you know, remove everything and stop eating gluten and cut your carbs down and exercise every day, and it's a New Year's resolution, so I've got to start doing everything at once. It's just a recipe for disaster. So it's gradual, and that's what the long-term goals are, is gradual bits that you do that all add up to this end change of lifestyle and understanding of health and food and that sort of stuff. It doesn't come overnight. The one book I do suggest you read in that regard, as far as changing habits, is James Clear wrote Atomic Habits, and it just shows you the whole way through the book. It shows you how tiny little things that you do on a regular basis all stack up to make this massive change. So it doesn't have to be these grave and huge all at once changes that you make. I think if you go through life and you're not trying to change something to do something better, you're not growing and learning, and that's a lifelong process. So I think it's a marathon. Sharon said, trust the process. We all lose from different places at different speeds, but it does eventually happen if you trust the process and follow your dietitian and your doctor's instructions. And generally, the research and the information they give you is based on what works. So a lot of the time, if you just keep trudging along and implementing those sorts of things, you'll end up where you wanted to get to. Tanya said, look for healthier alternatives to the foods you love. I couldn't give up nachos, but now I use one mountain bread wrap cut into pieces and I air fry it till crispy, then top with refried beans, avocado feta, chopped cherry tomatoes, and a spoon of sour cream instead of corn chips and meat and sauce. You'll be amazed how delicious healthier alternatives can be. And yeah, it's great. Look at the changes. And the research shows, I'll go on about the research a bit, that your taste buds take about 3 weeks to change. So if you're taking out processed foods and really salty, all the good stuff that you might buy when you go out, if you're taking that out, yes, you're going to miss it because your palate has adjusted, but it's about a 3-week thing. And then by the time you go back to trying those kind of things, they do taste very different and very strong. And it's then just maintaining that level of keeping them foreign, I suppose. AJ said, the most helpful thing I've done is cook up big batches of chicken thigh, divide into single serves to freeze, and freeze different marinades in ice cube trays. Put one in each portion of chicken. That's a good idea. That way I have an easy meal. I don't have to reach for junk food if I can't be bothered cooking. I also make curry beef and veggies with tasteless protein. Veggie loaded lasagna and added protein I freeze in my mini portions. If I don't have my sized meals ready to go, I struggle at mealtimes because I can feel like too much effort. Yeah. And it's when you're cooking such small amounts of food, it's like, God, I'm only just going to cook a few mouthfuls of food. Why would I bother? Which is why the batches are important and the portioning, because yes, if you are cooking for one person and you eat half a cup of food, you've got to cook chicken and do all your veggies and do all that stuff. To do it for one meal, you will get to the point where you think it's hard to do. So that's why you would cook 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 of those and be ahead of the game as well. Good stuff, guys. Do I need to share more? Yes, I do. The next little bit we had was the brain fit riddle. I'm loving this on a Friday. I've got to say, these are not my riddles. And sometimes I look at it and think, geez, I can't wait till someone answers that question because I've got no idea. So Friday is brain fit day. Last week was, what do you put on the table, cut, then pass around, but never actually eat? I was like, nothing like that happens at my table. And of course it was a deck of cards. So first to answer, they didn't tell me who the first to answer was. So that's the answer to the riddle. Da, 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 da. This week's one, I'm waiting for you guys to answer. I'm ahead, I've seen it, but I don't know what it is. So I'm relying on you guys to answer. And this week's Transformation Tuesday prize of the week, da, 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 da. Lots of announcements tonight. digital body scale comes with an app that you connect to the scale. And like I was saying, don't get hung up on weighing yourself. These scales will tell you what you comprise of. So instead of going, I've not lost any weight, you'll be able to go, oh, I've gained some muscle and my bone density is slightly different and I'm carrying a bit more water. So this gives you more feedback, gives you an understanding of what's changing over time, and it's all connected to an app on your phone. And that usually I don't say get on the scales, but if you're doing your composition, there's no reason and you're not fretting over it. There's it's certainly some value in learning about how what you're made up of, you know, muscle, bone. Also, it tells you your visceral rating, which is how much fat you've got in around your organs and that sort of thing. So it gives you risk profile and that sort of stuff. Valued at $71.90. And the winner of this week is Kylie Hovey. And I read this before and I thought it was beautiful. I never thought I'd see the day that I could run. I started the Couch to 5K program. It's amazing. And thanks to my bypass, food portion control, and hours of research working out what works for me, I finally did it. I ran. Yes, I ran. Thank you, new body and mind. I feel amazing. So that is amazing. The Couch to 5K is a great app. And later on, one of our challenges, it's actually next year, we have a healthy use of technology. And if you go through the App Store, you will find, instead of scrolling through Facebook for hours at a time, you can find such apps as Couch to 5K. They're free. They're for people who've never run before, and they'll get you there if you stick with the program. Kylie's gone from 164 kilos to 98. That's incredible, and still losing and still learning. So good on you, Kylie. When, if you're listening, could you email us support@bnmulti.com and we'll get your prize out to you. But we'll also announce it in the group. So that's Transformation Tuesday. I'll stop the share now because I tend to scroll when I'm talking anyway. I did stop the share and now I'm right in front of myself. And so I'll just check and see if there's any questions left. Usually it's problematic and I every week want to talk about that. If you've got any questions about anything, let me know. This week also, we wanted to just reiterate our BN Inspired link on our website. There's a page for all the BN Inspired stories, and they're people who've been generous enough to share their story and their journey to inspire others, and you'll find that on the BN Multi website. And if you're interested in being one of our BN Inspirers, shoot us an email or just pop a comment in the group and we'll send you out a form. It's just helps you tell your story, and we compile it and make it beautiful, and we put it on the website for other people who are either investigating weight loss surgery or who are on the same journey as you. So I think we've done all we needed to do tonight. Stay tuned this week. This week there's a bit going on. We have Transformation Tuesday. We have the newsletter on Wednesday. If you're not already subscribed, get your e-news. And also some tips during the week on, and the June challenge, because we're coming towards the end of the month again. Can you believe it? The June challenge is coming up and will be announced, and it's a good one. We'll get you all on board for that one as well. So please keep sending me your questions and help us to connect with you and to support you. And until next week, I will see you next week. Have a great week.